Welcome back to TYT Sports, everybody. The scene in Louisville, Kentucky, where Muhammad Ali's funeral is currently taking place as we shoot this, is one that is truly a powerful one. Muhammad Ali, as we all know, passed late last Friday night, and seriously, the internet reaction, the amount of coverage is jarring in a good way. By that I mean SportsCenter ran, I think, 48 hours of continuous Ali coverage. We put up a clip on Saturday. We wanted to bring you at least one more to discuss truly one of the greatest athletes to ever live. And not just that, when you look at the obituary from the New York Times and a few other places, he was considered in 1999 the most recognizable person on the planet. His political prowess, his words, he was captivating, in and outside the ring specifically. So, Francis, I believe they say something along the lines of, you know, when you pass away, you can tell how well you were liked by who attends your funeral, how many people attend your funeral.
Yeah.
Well, how about those who are speaking at your funeral? Here's the list of people. We had to do 2 cards.
Wow.
Given those who are speaking. It includes, and not just speaking, some of them are pallbearers, some of them have roles in the funeral itself. So if you go back to that card, it's former President Bill Clinton, Valerie Jarrett, who was an advisor to President Obama, King Abdullah II of Jordan, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Billy Crystal, Will Smith, Brian Gumbel. Will Smith, by the way, who played Ali in one of his movies. Martin Luther King III, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then it gets to the legendary boxers and promoters. Don King, Sugar Ray, Lennox Lewis, continues on with George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Evander Holyfield, Bernard Hopkins, great NFL player Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Edu Turkoglu from the NBA, Olympic Committee President, Kentucky Governor, former Kentucky Governor, Muslim scholars, leaders of the Nation of Islam, Bob Arum. I mean, it truly is remarkable.
So I did, like, so amongst the famous names that are in there, it truly is remarkable how much, the effect of this guy, the effect that Muhammad Ali had on everyone. I really think that it's important to notice that there's those that represent Islam in there as well, right? Because this is a man who, many people were surprised when it was announced that that was the religion that he looked to, and that was the religion that he gained almost immeasurable strength from, as he talked about. And he was the first real person, I think, in the United States that brought it up as a religion of peace and a religion of love, and something that is often cloudy in our today's society when a lot of people are looking and making their own judgments on a certain religion, whereas he was a man that stood up for all the positive sides of Islam and stood up for everything that it encompasses, minus what certain mainstream outlets and certain news broadcasters will try to lead people to believe. Muhammad Ali was so vocal in how much power and how much strength he gained from that. So I think that's very important to notice that those who are very important in that religion are paying tribute to a man that stood by it. And also, I mean, we could go on and on. Like we've been talking back and forth, like even off camera. We did our clip that we talked about how important he was to the world of sports and how important he was in terms of political movements. But it's just like, he's so relatable in every conversation. You can bring up Muhammad Ali, whether you're a businessman, whether you're a janitor, whether you are anything, pilot, any other job that you want to think about, because there's nothing that's not relatable to what Muhammad Ali considered to be a main part of his life, in the way that he always strived to do better. Yes, he had his trash talking, and yes, he was so influential in the way that he was able to intimidate an opponent before he even stepped in the ring. Of course. But it's just his outlook on life, man. Like, he always strived to do better, and they always had, like, I remember the interview that surfaced that I watched time and time again after his passing, and it was, the kid asked him in the interview, what are you going to do when you retire? And he was just on this rant about the meaning of his life, and when he looks back, whether everything was going to actually measure up to what he imagined it to be. And I was so engrossed in watching him, so engrossed in every single word. And that was the power of that man. Whether he was performing, because that's what he was a performer in the ring, because he put on a show and was talented as well. But whether he's performing, speaking, captivating, he truly is one of a kind. That's one thing.
The other thing I wanted to mention before let's get into some sights and sounds from what's been going on this morning from the funeral and what's everything's so, like, of course, we'll start with number 3. These are everywhere. The greatest banners. I've seen them above LA. I've seen them above seen pictures of them above New York, and of course there's a few of them flying high above Kentucky today. The flowers, I believe it's called the hearse. The hearse, yes.
Yeah, hearse.
They were showing they had to use the windshield to clear it off because they kept throwing so many flowers on the hearse itself. The motorcycle action figure, in tremendous Ali fashion, looks exactly like him. It's awesome, hands in the air. Outside the chapel itself is a madhouse. That was early this morning, and it's only becoming more and more. I think there was 15,000 tickets sold, and then I heard there was over 100,000 fake tickets found to try to get into this. There's this great picture of a kid outside Muhammad Ali's hometown, his childhood home, shadow boxing, which there's been many famous pictures of that, of Muhammad Ali. And of course, one more of the spectators just lining the streets everywhere. Yeah. I mean, everywhere. So we got to sit down, Francis got to interview part of Muhammad Ali's family. We got to meet the likes of them and talk and kind of converse with them before and after the interview as well. And we were invited by the director of the I Am Ali documentary.
What was your initial reaction when you first seen the final product of the documentary?
I wasn't surprised because I already knew that it was going to be brilliant. I saw a 30-minute audio clip and video clip of which he had done and was already just immensely impressed. So when I saw the film, I thought, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful portrait of my father that has never been done before.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing, as I spoke to Claire about, was just how raw the recordings are. Like, I know that you said, were you aware that your father was taking these recordings throughout your childhood? Did you know about them as much? Did you see them in a different light once they came out in the documentary?
Yeah, we knew about them. I mean, he started recording us when we were 3 years old, Layla and me, at home, and the recordings were always there in our face. So then they weren't presented until I was 20 years old. And I hadn't actually heard any of them, but he would actually play them back for us when we were 3 and 4 and 5, so we can hear them after he actually recorded us then. And I learned that listening to them now.
He recorded all the messages he sent his daughters, and it's just like a really nice, it's a good feeling. It's like hits you right in the heart, hits you right in the feels with like what kind of person he was. He always tried to instill advice into them. And like they said, his marriage wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But he made it work because he wanted to. I mean, I think we went through a divorce at one point, but he wanted to be there for his family, and the kids adored him. I mean, I can find me one Ali child who hasn't said the utmost nicest things you can think about.
Yeah, he always looked to inspire his own beliefs to them just on life. Not on anything else, but just on life. And like, when you look back, I hope you take these words and hold them close to you, because life is short and you want to make sure that you have immediate impact whatever you do. So, and by the way, to go back to your point, Jason, I know we'll jump back and forth, but this is what it means is, again, like I don't, whether you think he was the greatest boxer of all time, whatever. But it's, out of all these banners, just look at the word. It's not the greatest, it's not the greatest athlete, it's not the greatest boxer, it's just the greatest. That's it, it's just the greatest. And that is the best way to describe him, because there's very few athletes out there that could actually hold the weight of simply saying, I'm the greatest. Because he said it time and time again, and people believed it because he was able to showcase it with his sheer stature and his athleticism. You won't see a heavyweight boxer ever move like that, ever. But that aside, it's just the way that he stood up for his beliefs, and everything that he did was excellence, right? It was he encompassed excellence in everything that he did, and he's the greatest at selling himself, by far the greatest at selling himself, by far one of the greatest at standing up for what he believed in against all adversity. And again, he's just one of the greatest people that you'll ever see grace this earth. That is what the greatest means.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I wanted to also add, because it's been actually a very rough couple weeks. It's been a rough 2016 in terms of the athletes and celebrities we've lost alone in this year. We know David Bowie and Phife Dawg, Prince. Of course Muhammad Ali and Prince. I'm probably missing a few as it is, but one more was actually taken this morning, but it was more because he was simply old age, 88 years old. Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey himself. Hockey. To the hockey audience, to the mad hockey following out there, I mean mad in the terms of you're British mad, like rabid, not
I don't
mad
mean
as
that actually
angry hockey fan.
mad.
Wayne Gretzky called Gordie Howe the greatest of all time in hockey. And I find that interesting because many people, I think, when I look at the list, when I look at the records, it's Gretzky's the greatest of all time. So it's such a high honor for him to get. But at 88 years old, we don't want to leave him out. A big rest in peace, obviously, to Gordie Howe. We're sure there'll be a lot of speakers and everything similar, I mean, at least to some extent that you see at Ali's funeral, too. So we want to make sure a rest in peace, not just to the greatest of all time, but to Gordie Howe as one of the greatest hockey players of all time as well.